Warning, the following programme contains references that some viewers may find distressing. On last week's Viewpoint, Lydia Jimenez and Karim Gonzalez broke their silence on the abuse they suffered as children. Karim, while under the care of Graham Southwell, who's now serving 39 years in prison for his crimes. Lydia at the hands of Mario Gassano. He was a care worker in the Edmund Rice Children's Home. Gassano died in 2013, 3 years into a 6-year sentence for historical offences against Lydia and another child. But his offending spanned over 4 decades. The RGP investigated and arrested both men. Karim went to the police in 2021, and he credits the force with facilitating that process. But when Lydia approached the RGP, she had to fight to be believed, just 15 years earlier. What has changed in that time? Why should victims of abuse trust the police with their stories now? What motivates the officers of the RGP today, who are tasked with protecting our most vulnerable?
Wanting to help, really. That was my main drive. Looking for that justice for people, for victims, doing the right thing, whether it be in a drugs case or a theft, or obviously where my path has led me down to safeguarding.
I've always wanted to be a police officer. It was always going to happen. I lost my sister during a domestic incident, and the response that we got from the police was appalling. It was awful. And I thought, I've got to do better. It's got to be better than this. And knowing that I've been in that situation, and I understood better what someone would want from that situation. And I thought, this is my chance. This is my time to make a difference.
If you don't mind my asking, how did the police fail you? What was lacking in their response to you?
The empathy, the understanding that the family were going through. They were very dismissive of thoughts and feelings when they're discussing things about someone very personal to you, and they're saying, "Oh, but I'm sure that wasn't the case." And you're thinking, I've known this person forever. I'm telling you, I know that this person would never do that, would do that. That can't be the case. And they were just very dismissive, and the support that my family got at the end was non-existent.
I was a police officer with Thames Valley Police. I was on a drugs team, and I remember going into this house one day. You know, there was heroin use all over the house, and I remember seeing children and babies in that house and thinking, I need to do something about this. I can't allow this to happen. A vacancy came up for what was called the Child Abuse Investigation Unit in Reading, and I applied and I was successful. And I thought, this is the path that I want to go down and dedicate my career to.
And I was the liaison for the Women in Need shelter. So I got a lot more exposure into the world of domestic abuse, I suppose, in Gibraltar. The opportunity came up to join the crime division, and I thought, this is it, now or never. And I put myself really out of my comfort zone. Applied. I became the sergeant initially of the domestic abuse team, and that was the year that we helped draft the legislation to come with the new Domestic Abuse Act. I formed part of the working groups on justice. I chaired the first domestic abuse conference in Gibraltar, and I really felt like, this is it, this is where I'm going to make a difference in public protection. And then I was given the opportunity last year to help establish the online child abuse investigation team, and I jumped at it. And yeah, now my team is digital safety and offender management, so my team do both. We manage convicted sex offenders when they come out back into the community, but we also work on the online child sexual exploitation and abuse.
It seems like a department where you need officers in there for whom it's a vocation. You need people who care deeply about it. But the other side to that coin, I imagine, is that when you care so deeply, it's going to have something of a personal impact. Talk me through coming across new information, coming across a new case. What's the personal effect that it has on you?
So I think what the public and people need to realise is that Police officers are not just a number, we are human beings. We have our own families, we have our own children, and with, the information that someone gives us about their trauma and what's happened to them, we take that with full seriousness, and we take that information ourselves, and it has an impact. It has an impact on us. I think there is a shelf life for us as police officers. Sometimes that information on what someone tells us, we do discuss it amongst ourselves within the office. Sometimes we have moments of silence where we're thinking about what someone has told us. At the same time as it having an impact on us, we need to remain professional and do our job. So it is actually quite hard because there is that expectation of us. But you've got to kind of switch off your emotions, which is hard, and you've got to focus on the case.
Mary, I imagine you'll know better than most that the last thing you want is for a police officer to become jaded and to be disconnected from those that they're involved with on a personal level. Maybe even more so in cases involving children. So do you often, or do you talk to yourself, or do you assess yourself and make sure that you still have that connection without it being too impacted by the personal impact that it has on you?
You have to. And as Joe said, we rely on each other. We get each other through it. We check in with each other regularly to make sure that you're not in that position where you're becoming disconnected. You cannot do public protection if you don't care. And that's the really hard bit. Yes, we have that professional boundary that we need to keep. But if we didn't care, we couldn't do this job. We are here for the victims, and even with my offender management team, even though they won't necessarily deal directly with a victim, it is their job to go through the entire case file, to prepare reports for the court when we're looking at orders, to understand what the victim has gone through and to highlight to the court the trauma that victim has experienced. And then you've got officers, like Joe's team, who are doing achieving best evidence interviews, and it's almost like you're re-traumatizing the victim as you make them relive the worst moment of their entire life, or one of the worst moments of their entire life. The officer is going through that trauma with them, and then that officer now has to step away, and now they've got to go through the granular detail of that case to find lines of inquiry, additional evidence, in order to secure that conviction. And then you need to add to that the fact that it's our job to sit with the victim and get them ready for court and tell them the defence is going to call you a liar. They're going to say, because that little detail that you've said is wrong, it's because you've made it all up. You need to focus on what you know is true, what you believe is true. It's your truth. This is your moment.
Sergeant Ullger and Detective Sergeant Santos echo the sentiments that Lydia and Karim shared last week. Speaking out isn't going to be easy. It can't be taken lightly. But they encourage anyone who has suffered abuse, no matter how long ago, to reach out, if only to explore their options. The officers highlight Southwell's conviction for historical offences as evidence of the RGP's increased expertise and their ability to catch abusers.
It is harder if you don't have any kind of DNA evidence, any digital forensics evidence, but it doesn't mean to say that we cannot be successful in these cases. And as it goes to show, the Graham Southwell case was a very successful case, and it was a non-recent case. When you have several victims coming forward telling similar stories, accounts of what's happened to them, that adds weight to our case. And more so when you have victims that don't know each other. In some cases, some of our suspects, they don't wish to talk to us in interview. They'll go no comment. But in some specific cases, they do talk to us, and you get a feel for what's happened.
It doesn't matter how long it's been. We will do our very best to secure evidence and to secure a conviction. You're not on your own. I think that's also a very strong message, because Gibraltar is such a small community that everybody thinks that everything happens in isolation, and it doesn't happen in isolation. We are there to listen to you and to gather the evidence and to take it to court, and in this case to get a very successful conviction out of it.
You both personally come with glowing reputations, I'm happy to say, and I think that sends a positive message. The RGP, the police, in your own personal case, it's not the same. It's not the impression that everyone has. Lydia had a very negative experience with the RGP not too long ago. We're talking, a decade and a half or 2 decades ago. So, what would you say has changed in the RGP specifically since then? Because rather than being met with derision or rejection, which is what happened to Lydia and to perhaps several others that we will never know about. Someone may have gone to the police and been, shooed away or told that, not given much attention. Can people feel safe in knowing that that has changed and maybe they might want to revisit or come to the RGP again?
There have been changes over the years. We are a learning organisation, and we are introducing a lot more specialised departments that we never ever used to have. And, I think we all know 20, 30 years ago, the common reaction to a child abuse case was, oh, no one's going to listen to you, let's brush it under the carpet. Like, I hope to think that gone are those days, and that we do take these things seriously.
As public protection, we are moved out of the police station now. So we have a secure, safe space, which isn't the police station, for victims to come and see us in and to talk about their stories. And then, add to that the fact that I know, particularly around the digital safety and online stuff, we've been working with the Minister of Justice and his team about making our legislation much more robust and about trying to plug those gaps and those holes that are in the legislation that offenders may be able to use to get away with stuff. We learn every day. We learn from victims, we learn from perpetrators, we learn from each other, we learn by what mistakes we may have made and how we can improve, what has worked, what will not work. So we just continually grow as an organisation and as public protection, and I think that's what it's all about.
I think people are now braver to come forward and talk to us. I think they see that the RGP is having more successful cases at court, that we have changed as an organisation, that we are listening, and I think people are feeling confident in the RGP and they are coming forward and talking to us, hence why the public are seeing more cases at court.
Yeah, I agree, and I think to add to what Jo said, we're just getting better at detecting it. Just getting better at getting the evidence together. We have better tools, better training. We have officers that want to be there. We have specialist officers. We have officers that deal with domestic abuse, to deal with safeguarding cases, deal with online child abuse, deal with offenders. So we're just getting better at it, and we're just going to continue, I hope, to get better at it as well.
The police are also getting better at identifying and uncovering offenders. We know now that the vast majority of child abusers are close to the child, family members or other adults in a position of trust. In the past, this may have added another dimension of shame and difficulty for anyone wishing to report abuse. Today, it is understood that this is an unfortunately common factor in cases of abuse and should not prevent anyone from reporting it.
They put themselves in those positions because of what they're interested in. So it can be, very sadly, family members, it can be friends, it can be, your persons in position of trust like teachers, nurses, doctors, anybody, police officers, it can be those people. So don't necessarily think it's going to be that stranger who's very far away from you. It could be the people closest to you.
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing society and schools ever did, really, in the 80s, was the stranger danger. Because it's not a stranger. In most cases, it's someone that you know, it's someone very close to your family, it's someone that's held in very high regard within your family and society.
Anyone with information and intelligence, they need to come forward and share that with us. And I don't think they have to be scared that they're going to talk to the police. It's just a matter of sharing information. It doesn't mean, that we're going to be like documenting it and something's, necessarily going to be happening with that. But it's really important that people come forward and share that information, because that information they might be sharing might not be in isolation. It might be that we've heard several things previously, and that piece of information is just that piece to a puzzle that we need to think, okay, we're very sure about this now, we need to do something about it.
Over the course of the interview, Jo revealed that she was moving on from the safeguarding team, at least for a while. The decision has clearly not come easily. But on a personal level, and to ensure every member of the team can offer their best to victims speaking out, she felt it was the right time.
It's the most rewarding job I could ever think of doing. Having successful cases like the Southwell case is the most incredible feeling, not only for us as a team and investigators, but more than anything for those victims, seeing their faces at the end, all that pain and trauma they've gone through. And that's a very rewarding feeling for us. It comes at a price, though. It's the nature of the job, and we do a good job. We do a thorough, watertight investigation, and we get the results that we need.
Do you feel confident that you have a team that are ready and willing and capable of taking on the needs of Gibraltar?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, as I said before, public protection is not a job that everybody can do, and we understand that. The officers that are within the whole of public protection are there because they want to be, because they want to make a difference, and they do make a difference. And I think that has to be the most important thing. And then when we back that up with all of the training that we receive now, you've got people there that will do the very best they can for every victim that comes through the door.
The most valuable views on the matter, however, must be those of the survivors themselves. Karim reflected on his treatment after he first made contact with the RGP.
Since the first day that they knocked on my door, which when I opened it was Danny and Maxine, I just felt overwhelmed that there's someone there for me, to listen to me and my story, what I had to say. And I mean, since day one, they were all fantastic. And when Jo came in as well to the picture, it was also all the messages through WhatsApp, obviously for the police WhatsApp to mine, giving me all the updates and just reassuring that I'm going to be okay, that there is hope, you know. And I also have to give thanks to the police officer who was in court with me. I can't recall her name, Tanya. And just having someone in court with me as well, just in front of the screen, also calmed me down. And when we used to go down for the smoke breaks or lunch, the calmness that she just gave to me, it was incredible. I mean, I've never had any problems with the police whatsoever anyways, but I mean, that gave me strength to go forward and to do what I did to get Southwell 39 years.
Yeah, amazing, good, and I'm glad to hear we've come a long way, and you felt, reassured throughout the whole process, and you felt updated, and you felt like we were there for you. That's really important for us.
100%. I mean, I don't want to talk about certain things, but I mean, you yourself offered me the counsellor from the RGP so I could get to see someone. And that alone says a lot about yourself, about the RGP, and about how Gibraltar is now compared to how it was 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But we also have the ability with my team to refer victims of abuse to specially trained counsellors. We have the ability to refer through our multi arrangements, the public protection arrangements. We have the ability to refer victims through as well for counselling. I don't think many people realise that we have that ability. We've just done it with we've just done it with a victim for another case that's getting ready to go through court, just to give that extra support and bolster, so she's ready for the process.
That's another positive impact on victims, to see someone, because
the aftercare, it's the aftercare.
And the before as well. I'm lucky to have you guys. But if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have had anything apart from family. Yeah. And for me, family is everything. So.
Lydia's experience could not have been more different. It would be understandable for her to be wary of the police, but she has been buoyed by Karim's experience and encouraged by how much things have changed within the RGP.
My story was very different to Karim's. I think it was about, I'm not quite sure, 15, 16 years ago. It was a very negative, and as Mary was saying, like, I didn't have the empathy. it was a bit, I wasn't believed. I was the labelled child of the home and he was a respected member. So I did have one police officer, and I have to say that was amazing with me, but for the rest, I could hear, as I said, when we suffer abuse, we become hyper-focused and everything surrounding you, you're aware of every single thing. So I did hear comments of, this needs to be swept under the carpet, this is too much, I don't think we believe her, she's from the home, etc., etc. So just listening to, obviously, Karim's experience and now listening from you, you have done so much healing right now for me. And especially for that little child that wanted someone to believe her. It did become successful in the end, but it did take a lot of strength and it did create this fire in me. So it did help me in that sense, but listening to Karim's story, I wish I could have had such an implemented team like you have and all the resources you have right now back in the day. But at the same time, someone that's out there and has accepted what they've been through and basically wants to take that plunge in disclosure, and listening to you guys right now, I think they will see, for us, trust is imperative. So I think the trust is there. You made me trust you right now. If my 6-year-old was watching you, and I would have trusted you with my story. So I think that does a lot. So thank you so much for coming out and speaking.
Thank you, and I'm really sorry that you had the experience that you had. It's, you know, it's hard enough getting the courage to tell someone what's happened to you without then going through what you went through as well.
And I think it's really important for us as an organisation to hear what you've just said, because it gives us even more of a drive to do better and to, you know, to want to improve, you know, our services to the public.
After the break, Lydia and Karim reflect on the outpouring of support they've received following last week's episode. We discuss what has changed in Gibraltar, what still needs to change, and what questions remain unanswered. Following last week's broadcast, Karim and Lydia received a flood of messages of support and appreciation. It was a welcome response from the community, one they both now feel they have nothing to hide from.
I felt anxious to know how the people would react, their reply to what we've gone through, and it was a nerve-wracking week, but at the same time it was positive for our stories to get out there, finally.
For me, I can honestly say when they started sending me the little reels, it was nerve-wracking, but as Karim says, it was very powerful as well at the same time. And I must say, only with the reels, I did receive quite a bit of empowering messages from the community. So that was amazing to see. And certain people, I was afraid that certain people that didn't know my story, even though it's been years back, did actually contact me as well. So for me, nerve-wracking, but very powerful at the same time.
How did it feel to see yourselves on screen, relaying your story and relaying your experience?
For me, I was quite nervous because I've never been on TV, and just seeing me there, it was like seeing my little me there, like 6-year-old Karim, and it was powerful. It was a powerful message you put across Gibraltar. It touched many people, and I hope this can save lives.
As you said, people have been getting in touch since the first promo came out. Well, first of all, family and friends, people that knew you, people that were aware of your story. What was it like for them?
For me, since the beginning, obviously they have been aware of what we're doing, but seeing myself on the screen, as Karim says, it's seeing your little self, and obviously being beside you was amazing because it was little Karim and Lydia together trying to get this message out. Obviously, family members, friends, even work colleagues that didn't know. It was amazing to get the response because, especially for me back then, I was quite let down by the community. So I did tear up a bit and everything because the support I got, it was so empowering. And not only from family members, etc., it was as well from other people with their own stories. So I think, as you say, it's been very impactful. And that, for me, is the purpose of why we did it. So
There are people in your lives who will have been aware of your experience and people in your lives who weren't. Most importantly, perhaps, there are others with their own stories to tell. Do you feel like that message has reached where it was intended to?
definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely.
We've got loads of message requests on Facebook by different people who do not know me from anything, giving me their stories and that they've been through a dark place, how proud they are of us coming through, doing this and trying to help others. So for me, it's an incredible feeling. Just that little message, any message, it heals us. Any little message heals us. It's amazing how this community could come together and look to the lights.
I was very proud because you sort of feel you represent all these people out there that suffer in silence. So it was a very proudful moment for me, and it's very endearing not to have them tell you their own stories, which is something we know it's so difficult to come out with, and a simple message and letting us know I've also been through the same thing, and thank you for sitting there representing me because I live your story as mine as well. And that for me, it was very heartwarming to hear. I think we managed to give a voice to many of us out there that do not have, or they're suffering in silence, and it's understandable.
As you both said, that first step can be very tough to take. It's not the only step that people need to take on their healing journey. It's not an easy ride along the way. We first recorded, I think, about 7 months ago, last year. Met with the RGP officers in October. We're now here today. What's life been like over that period since you first recorded, since you first took that step?
I've felt amazing because it's something that people like us who go through these type of things want to be heard, want to be listened to, and just knowing that the community and the response of the community, I mean, it's overwhelming. It's powering for us and for the healing process. This is the best you could get from our community like what we've got.
For me, I must be honest, it's been hard at times, I'm not going to lie, because obviously the simple fact that you have to relive everything once again, but always sticking to the purpose of why we're doing that has helped me. As I said in a previous program, we do go through our highs and lows. We do go through our ups and downs, and we go through those dark moments. It's never going to go away. But here I am standing again. Recently, I did have a rough patch. I've been 3 weeks with my PTSD in a very bad place. But I must say, listening to little Lydia and little Karim has empowered myself in my own trauma, which is ironic, but it's the truth. So I even know how other people feel because I empowered myself with our words. So it's okay. You go up and down, but the message you want to get out there is speaking it out and obviously sharing it. It's okay. You feel you're not alone. Even though you go through your good or bad days, you can't say you're going to be perfect all the time because it's not the reality. But joining forces and joining our stories, that's the most beautiful thing out of it. And that we're not alone. We will share everything and go through everything together.
Speaking out publicly was a personal decision for Lydia and Karim, a milestone in their own growth. But they understood they would be speaking out for others when they did. Even so, the response has been greater than they expected.
I knew it was going to give some sort of an impact because we're talking about two different stories, different years, different governments in place, and different facilities. We could go get help or ask for help, but I didn't know it was going to be this much of an impact.
See, I thought the same thing. Obviously, as Karim says, it was very different stories, many years in between. Very positive things out of Karim instead of, in my experience, what I went through. But the main thing is that it's endearing, everything that we've received. I think the main reason is that this has never been done. People that have suffered or we suffered, we tend to have a silent voice. It's a secret. We may share it with a few people, but the courage we have of opening up, as I said before, it represents many of us out there and empowers many of us out there. And I think that's a message that many people have received and got from us.
Both tell me they're speaking up for the many voiceless survivors of child abuse who have reached out to them. Lydia is also championing the cause of the many others who lived in the Edmund Rice home as children and who say they also suffered the worst kind of abuse.
I have had many stories of many of us that are forgotten within society, and I was born in 85. This home was opened, I think it was in 69. So there are many people, and I had to be very delicate in a few words that I used during the program because I know how triggering it is. I have been contacted by many people, but by sharing our stories, we do sort of alleviate those triggers because we know where they come from. But at the same time, out of all of that, the most important thing that they've said is thank you. Thank you for saying what you said. Thank you for giving us a voice. And obviously, many of them out there do want to get their stories out there. Many of them aren't ready. But the simple fact that little Lydia and little Karim were there for them. And I do, and I think I've told Karim on a personal note, I have been approached by many male figures because I've always told Karim, women are more emotional and maybe it's more easy for us, but for men it's even more courageous for me. And I've got loads of messages that's told me that because for male figures it takes a lot. And for them, Karim is sort of a hero right now. So I did tell him it takes a lot and I really appreciate it. You've helped many people as well. So I think the main message is there. We've been a voice for them. It's hard. It is hard. But the end of it is what's worth it.
There was some time between both of your experiences. Not a huge amount, but there has been a difference. While it might not make the world right, do you feel that at least justice was done in your case?
In my case, I mean, no amount of years would be the justice I deserve because I have to live with this for the rest of my life. But I mean, to give him a 39-year sentence, and they had to go through the sentencing when the crime was committed, so they could only give him such amounts of years. And to give him 39 years, I think that sets a standard in Gibraltar, and that would hopefully give other people opportunity to go forward with the case, not thinking that they're just going to get 1 year and back on the streets. So I think, yes, in a way, I did get justice with the 39-year sentence he got.
Lydia, Manuel Gassano died during his prison sentence.
Did, yeah.
He was only sentenced to 6 years, though.
6 years.
The limits.
It started off with 8, then with 6. And for me, I must say, I was very sad to that fact because it was generational abuse. It wasn't just me. I understand the legalities of it and everything else, but morally, having the courage to come out and then getting just 6 years. But for me, my justice was just, and I don't know how to explain it, and maybe you might understand, standing in that court in front of him and saying those things in front of me, that for me was enough justice. And when Karim's sentencing came out, I celebrated and I cried with him because for me, again, we share the same stories. And for me, the first thing I said to myself when I heard before seeing was, you did it for you and you did it for us, because I lived his sentence as if it was mine. It's a very special bond that we create, and it is at times I think of it, and I mean, at the end of the day, he's dead. I have a life sentence. But look at us now, and we're powerful. And as I say, he might have shatters us, but we're not broken. We're still here.
Yeah.
Mario Gassano was sentenced for acts against 2 victims.
Yeah.
To the best of your knowledge, were there more?
There were many of us. Yeah, many of us.
Children, says Lydia, who have failed in the most fundamental way by a system meant to safeguard them, were then failed again as adults, many of them shunned and cast to the sidelines. She told me that carrying the label of being a child of the system and being continuously let down was a burden that is difficult for others to understand. She says she's proud of everyone who survived abuse at the home and who managed to turn their lives around against all odds. But it has always upset her to see how some of those who were worst affected were then treated later in life.
Things that we do to numb our pain, and people that have been very alone, without help from social services, without help from people that were there to protect you. Many of us do have mental issues, or they do have drug problems, because what we do is we numb our pain, and that's what we do. And many of them weren't considered as credible witnesses, which for me it hurt in a way. But I was determined to be that person to represent them. So there are many of us there, and it's been, as I said, I was born in 85. You can't imagine the victims that are out there. And the messages that I've gotten is no one really knows the realities that went through. And everything was just swept under the carpet. I also have to say, when I gave my evidence and I was sort of cut off by police officers saying those comments they said, it did cut me a bit, so I couldn't say everything that I wanted to. But at the end of the day, as I said, I got my justice, I got up there, I stood in front of him. That is something that I thought I was never going to do, actually face him. And the little Lydia, he said there wasn't amount to anything. As I told him when I was 7, one day I will bring you down, and I did. And there are many who are still suffering the consequences, not just from Gassano, but from many people within the home. And that's another story.
Did Gassano act alone?
He did not. He did not.
Very little has ever been made public about Gassano. No other victims have been publicly acknowledged in the years since he died. Nobody else has been charged in relation to his offending. There has been no public inquiry, no reckoning of the horrors which are said to have taken place under his care over the course of more than 40 years. The successful conviction of Graham Southwell and suitably heavy sentence must be viewed as a positive sign of change, of a far improved approach by the RGP, crucially, and of evolving attitudes more broadly in society. One fundamental component that seems yet to fall in place, though, is a health system that can offer suitable mental health support within an appropriate time frame. The GHA declined to give an interview for this program, telling me they could not discuss the treatment of individual patients regardless of their consent. In answer to my written questions, the health authority said that all psychologists within the mental health service are appropriately qualified and registered to provide treatment for survivors of child abuse, and that victims can access psychological support through established healthcare referral pathways where clinically indicated. The GHA also outlined some of the protocols which it says are now in place. They've said that forensic medical examiners can make direct referrals to mental health services during the course of an investigation, a police investigation. Is this something that either of you experienced in your cases?
No, not at all. Like I said, I went to the hospital whilst the court started with my mum, and I tried to get to see someone, and I just got tablets, and then I got told that I will receive a call to see someone, and till today I'm still waiting. So for me, it did not work like that.
Referrals aren't made by the GHA without a completed risk assessment to a psychologist. Were risk assessments conducted when you went?
No.
On another point, I wanted to know whether the GHA reaches out to offer care to individuals proactively if they're known to be victims of convicted offenders. So if the system convicts one offender, they know that there's a victim, someone that's accused them. The organisation does not proactively contact individuals, saying that contacting victims without their request or consent could inadvertently compound feelings of powerlessness and intrusion and exacerbate distress. Do you feel that having the health service reach out to you without you having contacted them first would have made things worse in your cases?
In my case, no. In my case, I think I would have felt loved in a sense, because someone's out there reaching out to me to give me help during the court period. I think that would have been a massive help for me and for my family. The things that we had to endure during the courts here and relive. If someone would have been there, I think it would have been easier on my family and myself to go through the court of justice.
Every case is different. What is right for one patient will not be right for another, and this is complex territory that feeds into the far wider issue of mental health provision, which is a worldwide problem. This shouldn't be read as a narrow criticism of the GHA, certainly not of the professionals working for the authority. Works are currently underway to overhaul the mental health service in Gibraltar, and this is not something that can be achieved easily or quickly. There is now more stability within the mental health service than there was before. In further answers, the GHA said there has been a full complement of 5 full-time psychologists there with additional support for 3 years now. However, with the current waiting time of 29 weeks to see a psychologist, you can't help but ask, what does a full complement mean? Is it fit for purpose?
I did have a referral back, I think it was a few months back, which they did tell me was 6 months waiting time. And all the doctor could do was just place a little push towards it. But he was very honest to me, we can't do anything, just do that. And for me, I understand they have to answer the way they have to answer, but that is not the experience I have gone through personally. Many years back, I know that maybe they say things have changed, but I do not think so, because I do still go through the same system many years later, and I do receive the same treatment. I spent 10 years after the court case trying to get help. And as you said, if someone would have approached me, I understand that maybe not many people like to be approached, but just to give you the option, you can say no, and that's okay. But just to give you the option, as Karim says, it makes you feel there's someone there looking out for me. After all I've been through and all I've endured and all it takes to come out, at least I have someone there that's willing to give me the aftercare I deserve because of how hard it is. And I'm very sorry to say, but I have not received any professional. I do not think, sincerely, there is no one professionally allowed to help with child abuse. I've been through it myself, and as I said in the other program, I've had to pay for a forensic psychologist specialized in that, and I can see the difference. I can see the difference. I can tell you an experience I had, I think it was 8 years ago. I went to the psychologist after waiting loads of months. I told him I was, and this is quite drastic and it's unbelievable, but I did tell him I was suicidal, and his answer was, when you feel you're going to kill yourself, send me an email because I'm overwhelmed. And you don't even know how to react. It's like, where's the cameras? Where are the cameras? Why is this happening to me right now? Is this real right now? And you just get up and you just sort of give up.
Work continues in the GHA. Improvements are underway. In the last few days, Karim and Lydia have received support from the Health Authority, which reiterates its commitment to supporting those affected by child abuse and urges individuals affected by it to get in touch. In its responses, the Health Authority also made a point which resonated with all three of us. While important, psychological therapy is only one part of a survivor's recovery. It's a public health issue. It's a societal issue. And speaking out as they have can make a difference in people's lives.
I think it already has. It already has. We have received those sort of messages, and as I say, we're not psychologists, but the simple fact of me and Karim sharing our stories, even some people that felt, because I've felt this way, oh my God, I'm so weird, I'm about in public, I don't know if you recognize, but you're in public when you're in a dark place and you feel I don't fit in, and those barriers have been wavered. It's like I relate so much with you on screen that I don't feel weird anymore, and I feel part of something. I don't know what it is, but I feel part of something. And that is amazing. And hopefully me and Karim can, obviously, we do want to create certain things and move on step by step. Obviously, we heal ourselves as we do it, but try and help society in that way and open doors, because we do not want anyone to suffer all the consequences we've suffered. If we can open doors, that is what we're here to do.
It's one less burden for you to deal with if you don't feel you need to hide it inside. On a personal level, people will be very pleased to hear that this has been a positive experience for you. It must be, potentially, it can be overwhelming to be hearing about other people's trauma and other people's issues as well. What sort of thing could happen in Gibraltar to change this?
Maybe have like a sort of group with people who have been abused to speak out, to tell each other's story and make it more comfortable in a way to for others to speak what happened to them in the past. I mean, we don't have anything here in Gibraltar. We've got for drug abusers, alcoholics, but not for people being abused.
I think what's much needed here, and I've said it for years, is a victim support center where people can go and actually open up in confidentiality, because some people are anonymously or by text or writing a note or whatever, but just being acknowledged. The messages we've received, it shows the necessity of it within our community.
The importance of community cannot be overstated, especially in one as small as ours, and Karim and Lydia wanted to underline all of those who have made a difference to them.
My best friend, Kyle Cavilla, because the day I walked out that courtroom when he got the sentence, he was waiting for me out there with open arms. And that says it all. That says it all for me, from a good friend. I mean, I was asked a question the other day, what's the difference between a good friend and a best friend? A good friend knows all your stories, but a best friend like Kyle and Lydia, they help you write it.
First of all, I do want to thank the community, because for us it's been very important to receive that support and all the good criticism and all the loving messages and even telling me you're loved, people that don't even know you, and that is very important. I would like to thank a certain person, Elizabeth Harrison. She made me believe in the system when no one believed me, and especially coming from a care home. My best friend Kyra, for me, she is my inspiration on a daily basis. She is my shoulder to cry on, the laughter I need, and in my darkest moments. Thank Karim for being so courageous and coming out with your story. Look at where you started and look at where you are now. And obviously, everyone out there that's been suffering or is also suffering in silence, especially I have to say personally, on a personal note, everyone that went through Edmund Rice Home or Bishop Ely Home, you are not forgotten. If I am standing here, a part of me is representing all of you. And I wish that I've represented you the best way I can. I did mention my mentally ill mother in my other program. It's been a long time and our relationship has been shattered due to my abuser, which he didn't allow me to see her, etc. Many things within my story, but I do need to show this tattoo, Julie, my hero. She is the hero of my story and she showed me power, strength, determination and unconditional love that a mother knows how to give, regardless of her condition. And I just really want to give her those words right now because she's very special to me and I love her to bits. And I think we also need to thank our children.
Our children.
Our children, for us, it means the world. They are our inspiration and it empowers to do what we do, to show them that, for me, especially when I've been low, or they know the story entirely and they see us now so powerful and standing, and that is being a very good role model for them, things that maybe we didn't have as a child. So
I would also like to thank you, Iain, for doing this, the cameraman, for being here with us. I mean, us and you guys, I think this is a big impact for Gibraltar and much needed.
You and GBC have given us this opportunity
Exactly.
to have a voice out, and that is very important to us as well.
I know there's other victims from Southwell, and I am your voice. I am doing this for all of you. You're not alone. If you want to reach out, you know who I am. You have my name, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp. Just reach out, have a talk.
When we're children, we dream about people saving us. And what we don't dream about or expect is that we did that ourselves being adults. The hero in your story is yourself.
Yeah, nice, okay. Está bien, está bien.
If you've been affected by child abuse, there is help out there for you. Contact the RGP. You can reach out directly to their safeguarding team. If you're under 18, you can contact Childline. If you need someone to talk to, you can call GibSams.